Hart, I have a lot of takeaways from Purdue, Illinois. You and I haven't talked about this really at all. Normally, we kind of go back and forth during games. I feel like this was a draining game experience for us because we were in our Sleepers Discord, which is popping tonight more than any night ever because we have a lot of Purdue fans in there, a lot of Illinois fans in there. And our lovely moderator, Ulamog, made the decision to keep the game threads separate. So there wasn't crossover. I think that was a smart, safe decision looking back on it. Got a little feisty in both of those. But as unbiased partisans of this, as people who like to consider ourselves fans of both teams, I feel drained reading and hearing the discourse from both sides of this game. And our mentions, both individually and as sleepers, are just getting flooded with some negativity, with some positivity. I'm tired, and it's midnight, and here we are doing Card I Kid You Not, our 17th preview or recap of the day today.
Yeah.
So, how are you? Looks like you have an orange shirt on, which is an odd choice after Purdue's win.
Sorry, it's just this is my first ever men's league t-shirt when I moved back to this area in Ferndale. So it means a little something to me. No Illinois bias, which at this point I feel like I gotta come out here and say that I'm not an Illini fan. I had to at one point put my phone down because my mentions were getting absolutely torn to shreds as I was trying to watch the game. And also for people out there, I've been wrong before. Like I'll be the first to come on here and be like, I was wrong. Like Illinois did not win this game. Purdue won this basketball game. Purdue is the best team in the country. I have no problem saying that. So I just want to get that out there before we even get to the recap. But when you take a step back and get away from the like people just basically tearing me a goddamn new one the whole game from honestly both sides, I feel like we're giving it to me. I feel like I couldn't win. I feel like I couldn't win. I couldn't see one go in. But when you take a step back, I think that this was a game between really good teams. Purdue is the better team. Purdue's the best team in the country, so there is no team better than Purdue. But Illinois is still a good basketball team. And Illinois showed fight in this game. And I think both teams overcame adversity in my eyes. Like, let's look away from the fact that TSJ wasn't on the court. Like, that's adversity we knew coming in. But when you look at the game as a whole, there was adversity that both sides had to deal with. I think that Illinois had to kind of take a punch on the chin in this game, and they found themselves down 20-20, and they kept clawing back, and then they finally actually claw back and get it pretty close towards the end there. Obviously didn't come through, but they battled that adversity of coming back. And in Purdue's perspective, like, Zach Edey is in foul trouble, and they got to have contributions from other players. And tonight, TKR had a massive game and was huge for Purdue. So, good on Purdue, great win. That's what the best team in the country does. Also, Illinois still a good basketball team.
Okay, I think you set the table nicely here. I'd like to set the table even more, if you don't mind,
Okay.
Cart. Uh,
This is why you're the table setter of sleepers, because if you just let me go, I don't set I set the table, I make it, I place the cutlery, I eat like the salad soup, and then I'm like ready for the entree. You actually set it and let it marinate a little bit.
no, I think you set the table well. This was a heavyweight battle. That's my stepping back broadly. I don't think this was necessarily either team at their best, but it felt like a slugfest, and it felt like a slugfest where one of the fighters is the best fighter in the world, and the second fighter was the challenger. And that's what we should have hoped for coming into the game, right? Purdue is the best team in the country. Well, I think we've said that enough, even though somewhere along the way, Purdue fans have either never heard us say that, or there's a small segment of Purdue fans that have turned against us off of you picking Illinois to win this game. I think that's what happened.
And also they have a hard time separating our different viewpoints on Lance Jones to the actual view of the team,
Yeah.
which is we have never wavered on the fact that Purdue is a Final Four team and one of the best teams in the country. I don't think we ever wavered
Yeah.
on that. I don't think we wavered on that when they lost to Northwestern. Like that's always been the case, and it's still the case as of right now before this game and after this game.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the record, I don't think there's going to be any negativity toward Lance in this game. I thought he was fine. He had a big moment late that we will talk about, but he was good player tonight. Shout out to Joe Jackson, Craig Bowers on Boilers in the Stands, by the way. I know they gave us they said I know sleepers will make fun of this, but they were pumped up that Lance Jones was willing to keep shooting late in the game. And I'm not going to make fun of that. I think that's a fair thing to want. And Lance Jones definitely gave you that in this game. Like I said, I want to set the table. If you don't mind, if I know you well, Cart, on a night like this, such a momentous occasion between the best two teams in the Big Ten playing and you and I watching this and knowing we were going to record at night. If I know you well, I think you have a beverage somewhere near you right now. That would be my hope. You don't?
I don't.
You don't have one in the basement even?
I do, but I'm gonna say something that's gonna hurt you.
What are we doing?
So, like, I know I'm probably gonna enjoy beverages throughout the weekend, both tomorrow and Sunday, and I adjusted accordingly. So I hit my calorie count for today, and the beer I have will put me over.
I'm going to need a minute.
I'm sorry.
It's Purdue, Illinois, man. No, don't let me peer pressure you, but like you thought calorie count day was the Purdue, Illinois midnight recap day?
I mean, probably bad planning. I'm not used to this.
All right, I'm just gonna have to move on. I feel like the entire world it be the ones you know the most.
Do you
That's
have a
how I
beer?
feel right now. No, yes, I have. Carter, I have 3 beers. Okay, I want to make a toast. That's what I'm gonna do, and I guess I'll toast to myself more than anything. I have 3 things to toast to. First of all, a toast to Purdue. Toast to Purdue. This is your moment. We're going to talk about both sides of this and what we saw in the game and both teams and what this means and yada, 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 yada. The ultimate takeaway from this game is that Purdue is the best team in the country. And even on a night without the best player in the country, I mean, man, TKR legacy game, right to it. I thought Braden Smith was poor. I thought Lance Jones was not Lance Jones, sorry, Fletcher Lawyer was disastrous. I thought Zach Edey was not on the court. You would have told me that pregame, I would say Illinois has a great chance to win this game. They never had. I mean, they had chances, but like the game wasn't a toss-up. It was Purdue controlling by 20 the whole game, despite their 3 best players struggling. So to Purdue, you proved who you are. And they say they don't applaud a fish for swimming, but tonight I'm going to cheers to a fish for swimming. It's a big, big fish, Carter. It's a big fish.
Massive.
My second toast. I have 2 more toasts. And in the process of really focusing on the fish metaphor, I think I might have lost a couple of my memories on who I was toasting to. I want to toast to us because if you're watching this, you need to know that we are one of the best podcasts in the world at getting things wrong. We're also one of the best podcasts in the world at getting a lot of things right. The reason we're so good at getting things wrong is that a lot of other people don't admit when they're wrong. Our greatest strength is admitting when we're wrong. Carter opened the show with that. We're going to do a lot of that during this episode about specific things we predicted would happen in this game that did not come to fruition. We'll give ourselves credit when we deserve it. And there's certainly things. We did the whole Painter or Underwood. Who do you trust in this matchup? I've got takes. I've got responses. But don't twist our words, though. That's the one. A lot of people twist in like you said Illinois was better than Purdue. We never said that. Or like you said every player on it, like Illinois has a better roster. We never said that. We said if you remove the best 2 players on Purdue, then we might take Illinois the rest of their roster. Like it makes no sense how some of these things got misconstrued. But my toast is to us because we're good at getting things wrong, and we're gonna get things wrong well tonight, Cart. That's what we're gonna do.
You're here.
And I had a third toast. Who the hell was my third toast to, Cart?
Was it the TKR?
No, but it can be. Do you want to give a quick toast to TKR?
Well, I'd actually like to bounce off your second thing that you said. As you admitted that we're the first people to admit that we were wrong. I'd actually like to give you your flowers in the TKR's case. I feel like you led the TKR charge. You said that TKR would most likely flourish next year without Zach Edey, but you said that TKR could be a factor at the 4, and I think we saw that tonight.
Yes, TKR. I'm very excited for the post Edey version of. Sorry. I just looked at myself in the Zoom call. I remembered what my third toast was to. Can I go? Can I go?
Oh, please.
My third toast is to myself because for years I've been trying to get this right on camera, and somehow tonight it happened. The little hair flip, just enough hair that's showing underneath the front rimmed hat. I look like Ashton Kutcher and Punked right now. Don't tell me I don't.
Okay, you do. Yeah.
I've been working. I've been waiting for this for 6 years, my friend. The final toast goes to me. I will drink to that.
Ashton Kutcher.
And punked is good because everyone on Illinois got punked by TKR tonight. That's a great segue.
Facts.
We're the best in the business, damn it. TKR, yeah, he was the best player on the floor for most of the game. He ended up not leading the game in scoring because Marcus Damask had 26, but like a lot of it came in garbage time, quote unquote garbage times. They tried to make the furious comeback. Look, I think TKR is going to be an all Big Ten center when Zach Edey leaves. I think he's been tasked with one of the most like my daughter's gonna jam the square block into the triangle hole and she's just gonna keep doing it for an hour and then finally it's gonna fall. That's what they're doing with TKR this year to me. And it doesn't matter because the rest of the team's so good. And it honestly doesn't matter because TKR's built himself into a playable player in that clunky environment. But next year we're gonna see him where he shines. And where he shined tonight was when Zach Edey got in foul trouble, and now it's the TKR show. And I think he's one of the best centers in this league right now. He's just playing the four next to the best center in the country.
And I think now, because we see what TKR can do, I think that in the non-Zach Edey minutes, that's what should be expected of him. Yeah. Like I don't want TKR to be a selfish player because I think that he actually does a lot as far as taking a step back because he realizes that he has a National Player of the Year at the center position. Honestly, that's one of Purdue's greatest team attributes is that they do recognize they got a National Player of the Year on their team and they adhere to that and they kind of go through that, I guess is the phrase I would use. But in non-Edey minutes, TKR should be ready to be like Showtime TKR. He was making moves, and Coleman Hawkins is one of the better post defenders / defenders in the Big Ten. And there was a couple plays where he was bullying him and putting him in the spin cycle. And it was very impressive to watch. He was making free throws in this game, dominating the glass. I mean, Purdue as a team, just all over the glass. One of the biggest stories of this game was that when Illinois did get stops, they were unable to secure rebounds. And that led to a lot of, one of the best shots in college basketball and basketball in general is that offensive rebound kick out for a 3-shot. And I think a lot of those hit and kind of broke Illinois' back, especially when they were trying to make a comeback and got it down to like maybe 12 and that pumped it back up to 15. Things like that hurt them. But yeah, I thought TKR was impressive. And to Lance Jones, I thought Lance Jones was really, really good in this game. I will admit that. Lance Jones was really good in this basketball game. I thought he was very aggressive defensively. The one thing I will push back on with Marcus Damask, though, can we not attribute those baskets to necessarily garbage time, but him actually like going to work and taking over the game, like having that takeover ability? I mean, I guess like he shouldn't have let it get to that point. He was doing a lot of the stuff down the stretch I thought he just should have been doing the whole game. Like a lot of hunting his shot, hunting the smaller defender, going one-on-one, guys are spacing out, and he's making a play. So is that stat padding? Because I don't want to call it garbage time buckets because I actually thought he did a good job of kind of like, quote unquote, taking over to even give Illinois a small glimmer of hope at the end.
I think that's fair. I still think it should qualify as garbage time because when you're up 18 points with like 7 minutes left, like
Yeah.
you've been a player in that spot. You can't tell me like your focus in that spot is just don't foul. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think I don't want to say Purdue took the foot off the gas, but I thought Purdue defensively was very much in a just like don't make mistakes, don't foul spot. And
Okay.
Damask started getting aggressive late. Now the game script for this game was like nearly identical to last year's. And I think fans from both sides will probably disagree with certain things we say along the way. They're certainly going to disagree with my biggest takeaway that I'm going to say for the end of this. But I thought this was essentially the same game script that we watched in Mackey last year. Like Illinois was down insane amounts at halftime. Purdue was destroying them. And then in the third quarter, like you kind of think Illinois could come back, but they just aren't making the plays, but they just hang around, and then in the final 10 minutes there's this furious comeback. Like that's literally what happened last year. It happened against
It's
Knight.
even more the same too because a player last year for Purdue went off that people didn't expect to go off.
Yeah.
Brandon Newman had like 19 or 15 points, I think, in the first half, 12 points in the first half, 19 in the game on like 50% shooting and played amazing defense in that game. So, and then in this game, it was TKR. So it was very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of wild to actually watch it play out that way. But so the biggest thing in this game to me
Is Zach Edey.
was
Oh,
well, by default it's Zach Edey. I thought the story of the game was that Illinois had 5 players that could play in this game. And that is really strange because on paper, through the first 13 games of the season, this is their 14th game, they have looked like one of the deepest teams in the country to me. Like we have praised their depth. We've been like, any given night, Dane can do it off the bench, or Goody can do it off the bench, or DGL's shown signs. Maybe you get some Amani Hansberry minutes. Maybe it's Harmon. Maybe it's Rod. Every night's a different guy. Tonight, it couldn't be a different guy. And I want to say, when starting this, that's a credit to Purdue. Like, I think Purdue is one of the only teams in the country that can play Illinois in such a way that it just takes guys completely out of the game. But in this game tonight, 8 players stepped on the floor for Illinois. It was the 5 starters. It was Justin Harmon. It was Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn. It was Dane Danger. Ty Rodgers started in this game. He started both halves. He played his longest stretch of the game right at the beginning of the first half. Coincidentally, that's when Illinois got down like 20-4. And look, Painter, it was a card we knew he would pull, but Painter went to Edey on Ty Rodgers from the very first play of the game. There was no answer for that. Like there is not a play you can run. There is no scheme. There's no way to backdoor it. If somebody sticks somebody as big as Zach Edey guarding a point guard that can't shoot, and if Ty Rodgers has the ball, all he's trying to do is beat his man for a bully ball layup or drive to kick. He had no counter because you can't do either of those against Zach Edey. So this was not, and I think people think we're dramatizing it, but we're not. When we say this is not a Ty Rodgers game, that means any second Ty Rodgers was on the floor in this game, Purdue was going to go on a run. There was nothing that Illinois could do. And I thought his 13 minutes destroyed them. I thought it absolutely killed them. Honestly, I have to put the blame on Brad for that. That was the first thing I got really wrong on. I said I would trust Brad Underwood more than Matt Painter in this game. And the first chess piece was won by Painter because he didn't wait to go Edey on Rodgers. He went right to it. And that's why they got to a 20-point lead. And then from then on, I thought Brad messed around with Rodgers too much. Like I wouldn't have started him in the second half. I wouldn't have gone back to him at the end of the first. So
right.
Do you agree with me that it's that drastic? Like Ty Rodgers, the next time they play Purdue, I don't think Ty Rodgers should step on the floor for a second.
I don't. And this is my thought on it. And I like to actually, and you tell me if I'm completely wrong. Cause it just did come to me. But we like joke about it. And we're like, oh, this could be a dang game. But there's some truth to that with other players because I think this is where it gets misconstrued a little bit. Is like because you have depth, like you're like, oh, that team has depth. They play a lot of players. That's true, but also the value of depth is being able to play certain players in certain situations. Because they have depth, I thought Brad would shift more to the point of because we have these other guys like Harmon and, you have the DGLs on the bench, you have a chance to go a smaller lineup with, shooters and Coleman. You would utilize that and be like, you know what, Ty, this just isn't your game. Like, Dane, this game isn't for you. Ty, this game's just not for you. We're going to need you this season. Like, we have used you in games, but this one's just not it, especially with the lineup that this other team is playing. So I thought that Brad did mess around too much or stick with it a little bit too long. And look, you said it to me, or I think you said it in the Discord, you're going on the road to Mackey. And no matter how good you are, your margin for error is very, very small. So that extra minute or 2 or 3 minutes that you keep a player like Ty in this game when it's just not for him or Dane on the floor, it hurts you. And like you said, small margin for error.
The reality of it is when you're playing Purdue, one of three things are going to happen. The most likely thing is you're just going to get destroyed and there's nothing you can do. Most games Purdue has played this season, the opponent has fallen into that category where it's, nothing we can do. Let's just try our best and throw shit at the wall and we're going to get blown out tonight. That's what happens. The second thing that might happen is that you are less talented than Purdue, but you're up there and you have a build that matches Purdue's, right? Like if Purdue played UConn, or if Purdue played to an extent Kansas, or they did play Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those teams can approach the game and just say we need to be at our best and we need to outplay Purdue. You're
Right.
probably going to lose that battle. Like more often than not, you are probably going to lose that battle. But teams that have a monstrous center can try that. Or you fall in the third category. It's a very unique third category. Third category is you can do something that is so opposite of what Purdue does that it gives you a chance. And Illinois is one of the few teams in the country that can do that and do it successfully. They had to load the court with shooters. We knew it. We said this in the preview. We said there's only one lineup they can do. If they had Terrence Shannon, they would have been able to mix more guys in because then you have 6 guys to work with. In this specific game, you had 5 players that could even play because Dane Danger was going to lose every possession he was on the floor. Ty Rodgers was going to lose every possession he was on the floor. Dragic Lawhorn, I thought, did admirably in 9 minutes, 4 fouls, but he wasn't ready for this moment. So that left you with Damask, Guerrier, Hawkins, Goody, Harmon. And we called that exact lineup out pregame. We said, I don't know what Purdue will do to match up with this if Brad goes to this. And what I saw tonight, Cart, I saw a Purdue team that had no answer for that. Other than beat them up on the boards, which they did even when Dane and Ty were in the game. And that's a perfectly good counter. But I've been begging people for numbers. I want somebody who has the full box to give it to me. Give me the lineup data because truly, I think Illinois' entire game that those 5 were on the court, I think they won it by double digits. I think they won it handily. And Purdue's flip on this, Purdue fans' flip will be, well, Zach Edey was out of the game. That's a fair flip. That's going to lead me to my take later because Zach Edey being on the court is part of why Illinois has an advantage with that lineup. And that sounds crazy, but you need to have the monster there so that you can exploit the monster. Like, you can't be David without Goliath. And Illinois' one trick they have in this specific matchup is to small ball death lineup you with 5 shooters. And that doesn't even work if Edey is in foul trouble. It doesn't work against TKR in first. So I thought Brad found the lineup, and I think the numbers will show that. I think the numbers will show Illinois outplayed Purdue by double digits when those 5 players were on the floor, and they got wrecked whenever any other player was on the floor. And in the end, like if I have to make a takeaway from it, in the end, the takeaway is it's on Brad that they lost this game because there was a formula that worked. He didn't find it early enough and he didn't go to it long enough to overcome the 20-point deficit that Ty Rodgers being on the floor crushed them with right after the game started. Do you agree with me on all of that?
Yeah, I do. I think that, clearly my pregame take of I thought that, Brad was going to make some adjustments or come out with certain lineups in this game to take advantage of Purdue. And I thought that, I thought Paint pretty much kind of coach circles around him in this game. Truthfully, I think he did. I think there was an attempt at some adjustments, but the hole that they were put in by his loyalty or his decision to stick with guys like Ty and Dane a little bit too long just hurt him too deeply.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also we don't want to make this just a coach thing because that's one portion of the game. I thought that on the we go back to this. We talk about this a lot with Michigan State. Offensive or being able to defensive rebound is a skill, but it's also like a want type thing. It's a mindset thing. Like if everyone on the team is engaged, a shot goes up, everyone find a body. If you don't find a body, okay, you don't find a body, but like that ball is ours. Every loose ball, 50-50 ball tonight went Purdue's way. Every tip out, everything went Purdue's way. I thought they were more aggressive. And the offensive rebound, I mean, I don't know what the final numbers were, but I think they had to give up at least 15 offensive rebounds, maybe even more. It
More.
seemed like at
They
least.
gave up 18 offensive rebounds. They only had 16 defensive rebounds as a
Yeah,
team.
you can't give up. You can't give a team that's good like Purdue second chances like that. And I get it. Like they have Edie out there, and sometimes it's tough to box him out, but it wasn't as much Edie even getting the offensive rebounds. A lot of it was other guys. It was,
Yeah.
TKR, it was Gillis, it was even guys like Lance Jones getting in there and tipping the ball backwards and things like that. So it's tough to win a game like that when you give a really good team second chances.
Yeah, offensive rebound numbers in this game. Braden Smith had 2, Kaufman-Renn had 3, Edie had 5 in 23 minutes, Gillis had 5 in 21 minutes. That can't happen. Caleb first chipped in 1 in 9 minutes off the bench as well. So yeah, I like your point. It's not coaching. Like, and for the record, I think both coaches, you get a thumbs up from me for this game. Like Brad did find the lineup. He just found it too late. And Painter had the game plan from the jump and didn't need to adjust. It was kind of like you said coming into this. It's like, I think you got some shit for this. Like or Purdue hasn't seen anything yet. And people were like, they saw the Maui Invitational. No, what we mean by that is like they haven't hit adversity. Everything has worked so well that like they haven't needed to be down 10 points and figure some shit out late in a game. In the first half they have, but even then it hasn't been like crazy strategic adjustments. It's just been like play better. And in this game they didn't need to adjust really. I thought it was just they needed to survive. They needed to sustain without Zach Edey in his foul trouble. But I thought Painter had the correct game plan before the game. There was no adjustment needed. So you give I think you give Painter a 10 out of 10 for this game. I think
Yeah.
you give Brad like an 8 out of 10. And
Yeah,
ultimately, that was a small
I
difference.
maybe 7. I know I'm nitpicking there, but I go 7.
Yeah, small difference there.
Yeah,
We keep mentioning Edey's foul trouble. Obviously, a massive story of this game. He picks up 4. He doesn't get 4 fouls much. And I'm not trying to make this a narrative at all. This is only the second time this season he's had 4 fouls. He's only had 4 fouls in 4 games, going back to all the way at the beginning of last season. So he's very good at avoiding fouls. It's very rare that this happens anywhere, let alone in Mackey Arena. I don't know that it has ever happened in Mackey Arena, quite frankly. So what did you think? Did you think that these foul calls were the correct calls or not?
I mean, for the most part, I would say, but also at the same time, like I just feel like you chalk it up to okay. It's a combination of both to me. Edie does a great job of not fouling. I think he also finds himself on the right side of college basketball referees sometimes. And I know I'm going to get torn to absolute bits for saying this, but here's what I'm saying is that he's such a good defender that he gets the benefit of the doubt with fouling. And I think that's really a thing. And if I could ask a referee, if I was friends with any referees, which I'm not, I would ask them, but I'm pretty positive that certain players get the benefit of the doubt because of how they defend and how they do not foul. And they can say they don't do that, but I think that is a part of the game. So yeah, he had some foul calls not go his way. That's every college basketball player. Like that happens to everyone, I feel like. So it doesn't happen to Zach Edey a lot. So, it happens in a game like this. Adversity strikes, they got to deal with it. They did a pretty good job with it, and TKR stepped up. In all honesty, I thought Stripes did a pretty good job tonight, both ways, to be honest with you.
Did you just compliment the Stripes?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me, man. Yeah.
You need a beer. You need a beer bad.
I'm drained, man. Like you guys didn't, whoever's listening to this, you guys didn't make that fun to watch, man. Like I was really just trying to enjoy it. And, Purdue went up 20-4 and I was just getting torched.
Yeah, I feel you there. Yeah, I agree. I thought this was a pretty well officiated game. I also just think with Edey, like when he picks up any foul, there's just so much of a magnifying lens on it, right? Because he is such a gravitational pull player. He's that good. And it swings things so massively normally when he's in or out of the game. And he's just there's more contact with him than anyone. Like when Illinois chooses to go to a lineup that has a bunch of 6'7" guys in it, like they're going to be like catching elbows because their head is at his elbow. So it's not, there's nothing dirty about it. It just kind of happens. And the way it was called tonight, I thought at least was consistent for the most part, even if it wasn't necessarily friendly to Zach Edey. And I was okay with that. The big call late, flagrant call, kept Illinois in the game. I think it was either a 10-point game or an 8-point game at this point, but Lance Jones, for lack of a better way to describe this, he undercuts Quincy Guerrier. Quincy Guerrier ends up falling on his wrist. He's had wrist injuries this year, so that didn't look great. We certainly hope his wrist is 100% as quickly as it possibly can be. I'm going first, and then I'll throw it to you. I thought there was no malicious intent with this whatsoever. I don't believe it deserved a flagrant.
Mhm.
I believe it was 100% a foul. Like you just can't end up like hunched over underneath a guy taking his legs out, whether or not you intended to do it or not.
Right.
That's not a basketball play. And if it results in the guy landing on his back or his head or whatever Carrier landed on, it's a foul. Especially with the way this game was called. Like this game was called where like there were a lot of fouls called on rebounds. Zach Edey picked up multiple of them. So for two guys, because Lance Jones also hit the ground here, for two guys to hit the ground that hard and not to have any whistle was crazy to me. It seemed like the Stripes just decided to swallow their whistle in that moment. And they go to the monitor, they review it. Robbie Hummel screaming about how there's nothing here. I normally 100% agree with Robbie. I think he should have said it should have been a foul call and not a malicious foul, but like it was a foul. And then in the end, they can't call a regular foul there. If it wasn't called a foul on the floor, their option is either flagrant or nothing. So I think that led to the flagrant call, in my opinion. I don't agree with it, certainly, but I thought it was better than nothing because you had to have a call there. What did you think of that call?
Yeah, I think the main point is that it wasn't malicious by Lance Jones by any like stretch of the imagination. Like I know what he was trying to do. Quincy Aria is obviously bigger than him. It's classic low man wins. So he was like very, very low boxing out. But unfortunately, with how Gary jumped, he just kept on backing up, which forced him to undercut him. And obviously, he didn't mean to do it. But to me, it's one of those situations where it's not an over the back. It's not like Gary ran in there, ran and like tried to jump over his back, and like Lance Jones can't do anything about that. The actual motion of him just kind of keep on like hunched over, backing up while he's in the air. I think that's kind of where the foul should have been called. But I mean, they ended up calling a flagrant run. It didn't really affect the outcome of the game, if anything.
Made it
Really,
interesting.
I mean, it made it interesting, and it also helped my Illinois plus 10.5 bet hit. So shout out to Stripes. But yeah, I think I think it was a foul. I'm surprised it wasn't called a foul initially, one way or the other. So by them going to flagrant run, I think I'm okay with it. I just think it's hilarious to me, and this is every fan base. If that was Fletcher Lawyer or Mason Gillis that got flipped over, they would have wanted a flagrant two and for that player to be ejected. I just want that to be known.
Yeah, and we do this too. Like I'm sure we sound very antagonistic in how we're like pointing fingers with all of this. Carter does this with Michigan State. I do it with Michigan. We
Mhm.
try to be better about it than most people because we try to be objective for this show. But if we didn't have a show, we would be screaming the same things that Illinois and Purdue fans were tonight. But it was very funny to jump back and forth from the Purdue game thread to the Illinois game thread. And Illinois got 11 people being like, that's obviously a flagrant. How dirty is that? He knew his wrist was hurt. And then Purdue's like, how are they even going to blow the whistle on that? Are you serious? That's a textbook box out. Like,
Can I get one more did Stripes get it right or not ruling on those baseline jumpers by Lance Jones, both of them?
what do you want on that? What do you mean?
Like, do you think they were fouls?
I don't even know that I'm remembering which ones you're talking about.
It was like the two late shot clock Lance Jones.
Oh,
He had
where
it.
he got wrecked. He embellished it as if he got wrecked. Is that what you're going
Yeah,
for?
yeah,
I thought they were fouls. Yeah, I thought they were
yeah.
fouls.
I did too. I thought the situation made it a little bit tough, But that's one of those classic fouls where you're on one side, you're like, oh come on,
Yeah.
like let that go. But if you're on the offense, then you're like, oh, you got him on the wrist. So you flip that over. Like I said, if if they call it on the other end, it'd be the way. That's part of the game. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's just like being a fan of your team. You're obviously going to lean that way. I do the same thing. Greg, you do the same thing. Try not to, but it is what it is.
Yeah, there were fouls. It is what it is. There's so much to get to in this game. We have to pick and choose.
Can we take a moment just to be grateful that stripes didn't determine the outcome of this game?
Yes, very much so. A guy who might have determined the outcome of this game?
Redacted?
Coleman Hawkins.
Oh,
Coleman ended up with a pretty solid stat line, 11 points. People made a big deal about his career averages against Purdue. Apparently, he's been horrible over the course of his career. He led the team in assists, tied for the game lead in assists with 6. He had 4 rebounds. He's got to rebound more. If you're going to play him at the 5, you just have to rebound more. But he kind of did all the Coleman things, right? Like he was on the floor constantly, had a block, had a steal, was the center of attention at all times, set a per game efficiency record for whining, the over the top, like head in the hand stuff. Like, I just want to say this. I think it would be incredibly hard to be Coleman Hawkins' teammate in the middle of a game. And I don't mean that in any way about him as a person, because I love Coleman. I think as a teammate, I would love the guy. I would absolutely love to play with him. I would like to hang out with him, right? But I'm saying you're on the road in Mackey Arena, or like you're in a big game environment. I think Coleman does a lot of shit that compounds nervous energy. And
right.
you can't do that in Mackey Arena against the best team in the country when you're one of 5 players who has to be on the floor at all times. You can't do it.
And you also can't do it because whether Coleman likes it or not, I think he's a leader on this basketball team because he's been there before. He's not a leader necessarily like that, but I think people look to Coleman. And when you look around, he's always just like crying and stuff like that. And I know how that goes. You're looking at one of the biggest ref criers of all time. And it does annoy teammates sometimes. I've actually had teammates come to me before and Zach Hurth. Many a times at halftime, he has come up to me. He's like, just play the effing game. I get it. Just play the game. You're thinking too much. You're crying too much. You're doing all this extra stuff. Just play the effing game. So I think it did, especially because, you got to be, for lack of a better term, you got to be a bad MFer and a stone cold person to go into Mackey and get a dub.
Yeah.
Whiny players don't go into Mackey and get dubs.
Yeah.
And also, I know we're not playing the did he foul, did he not foul? Coleman, dog. Did you see that video of that dude who jumped at the judge in the court?
Yes.
That's what Coleman did on that 3-point attempt for Lance Jones. And he goes, oh my God, I didn't touch him. I'm like,
he was literally on the ground, sitting on top of Lance Jones, and then rolled over Lance Jones's head and then said, what do you mean? Come on, dog. And
I'm upset that we were robbed in another universe, another utopia, a basketball team at this state. We were robbed of Andre Curbelo, Matthew Meyer, and Coleman Hawkins all on the floor at one time.
I'm happy for Coleman's sake that didn't happen. I'll just say that.
It would have been cinema.
So that reminds me though, back to, sorry, this is for good old time's sake. Are we Illinois body languaging right now? Is that what we're doing?
No.
It kind of feels like we're doing it, Cart.
I'm not trying to.
Cart, we're kind of doing it with Coleman though a little bit, right? Are we?
Maybe a little.
A little bit. So this is my one Illinois body language takeaway. It's not even a body language takeaway. I thought for the first 10 minutes of this game, coincidentally, the 10 minutes where they got ran off the floor, it was Coleman Hawkins. And it was a bunch of dudes who hadn't played against Zach Edey before.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was visible because Damask has been killing. Guerrier has been killing. Shit's different when you're in between the lines and that's clock's running. There's a 7'4" dude right there. I don't know how Brad prepared for this. He might have had Tyler Underwood on a chair with a thing. It's different when you actually see that man.
Greg, I had it in my head, that first 5 or 10 possessions. Guerrier went to the lane, got that shit sent. Damask went up, got that shit sent. And I knew that the guys hadn't truly been in that situation because they got capped off. By Harmon had a wide open floater in the middle of the lane, but Zach Edey was staring at him, standing there. And he just like that just flipped it up. It was long, not even close. I'm just like, oh my God, these guys are terrified.
Yeah, they just don't know. Like, because when you're playing him for the first time, you just think he's gonna.
You think he's just big.
Yeah, right. And but I thought Illinois did a better job as the game went on figuring it out. But yeah, that was the story of the first 10 minutes for me beyond Purdue playing really well was also like Illinois is so afraid. They've never seen someone like this. And then as the game went on, they got more comfortable, they had more success. Purdue side of things, I mean, we already did TKR, just legacy moment. It's always fun in big games like this. It always feels like it's a player you don't expect that has that game. And I don't think this will be the last we hear of TKR by any means, but it was good to see. I feel good for him.
It's good for TKR too because I feel like um he he gets a lot of like not a lot of shit, but I think he gets a good amount of shit from some Purdue fans just
Yeah.
because like he didn't develop maybe or do stuff they wanted him to do next to Zach Edey. And like now this is his first like Purdue moment. Like
Yeah.
this will buy him, I think, a little bit of leeway because you can be like, hey, TKR gave it to us for that big game when Illinois came to Mackey.
Yeah. I kind of feel like you have some TKR in your game, by the way.
No, because TKR hesitates to shoot. I never hesitate.
He's gotten better at that lately.
Yeah, that one towards the end of the game where it got to like an 8-point game and like he didn't even think twice about it and they
Yeah.
sagged and he caught at the top of the key early in the shot clock, I might add too. Like there's a lot of time. Like if he misses that, Painter's probably tearing his ass up and he just bang, just
Yeah.
banged it.
He had the legacy game and he had the legacy moment with that one, which was cool. I just want to say this: Zach Edey 0 for 3 from the free throw line. You're never going to see that again. Just remember this: take a photograph, print it out, put it on your fridge. If you don't like Zach Edey, you're never going to see him go 0 for 3 from the line again. That was a weird anomaly. Outside of that, Purdue was 20 for 22 from the free throw line. But Edey's were in big moments, and TKR had a missed front end, so it ends up feeling like they didn't shoot well from the line, even though as a team they were great from the line. And credit to Lance Jones, he was leading the way, 7 for 7 from the line there. Let's do the Purdue backcourt just quickly. I thought this was Braden Smith's C game. No disrespect, but like he did not get going offensively the way we've seen him get going in big games. I thought that Illinois' size and length was part of that. I thought Braden struggled with that a little bit early and then was just a little more tentative, hunting his own offense. For like most of Braden's shots I can remember in this game were uncontested layups, which he got, by the way, being a genius. Like he had three different like weave in circles, and all of a sudden I'm wide open. Oh, here's a layup.
That dude's a maestro in like the pick and roll, like keep the dude on my back. Like you don't know if I'm gonna go, float, pull up, pass. Like he just like has that's so tough to guard because one, I know it's hell to get over a screen by Zach Edey and TKR, but then you got, and I mean this in the most sincere way, a little dickhead point guard that just like is so crafty and keeps you on his back and can go to the hoop and throw floaters up and throw passes. It's so tough to guard.
Yeah, he's a wizard, right? He's super smooth. He's very good. He's very, 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 very good. Any thoughts?
Sure.
Yes or no? I can't tell.
What is that? I don't know what
Okay.
that,
If you don't know, then we'll talk about it after. Don't say it. Yeah,
this bad.
I don't. That's why I was asking you. I might be wrong on it, but I have a nickname I want to give Braden, but I'm a little concerned.
I don't know what is it like.
Let me give it a Google real quick.
Yes, that's the. I mean, the only one I know of this is like, isn't it like a chess term?
Yeah, what am I confusing it with? It is a Chester. What am I?
I'm thinking. Can I say what you're thinking? Can I say the word now or
I'd
no?
rather not at this point. Let's talk
Okay.
about it after.
All right, let's talk about it afterwards.
Yeah. Anyways, I want to give him like a puppeteer nickname because that's what I
Oh,
feel.
a ventriloquist.
Yeah, that's not what I'm going for. But he was, like his wow moments were very wow-y tonight. I would have liked, especially in a game without Zach Edey, I thought this was an opportunity for Braden to then step up when he was off the floor and kind of be like, no, I'm the baddest dude out here now. And I felt like he was just kind of along for the ride with the game more than totally controlling it. There were moments he totally controlled it. Late in the second half, in the final 10 minutes, were not those moments. And that's been the Braden Smith thing, his year and a half long career now. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, why does he stop taking over when we get to an 18-point lead turning to an 8-point lead?
Right. Yeah, and honestly, there was
So
a point.
I'm asking you why. I don't want like a right. Like I want like why? Why does that happen?
Oh, I can't explain why it happens, to be honest with you. The only reason that I can come up with or make up with in my head is that he thinks he doesn't have to because he has Zach Edey.
Hmm.
That's the only reason I can think of. But I also just wanted to point out that there was a point in the second half where like Paint like pulled Braden to the side and he wasn't yelling at him, but it looked like they were having a conversation and not like a haha like my boy type conversation, like a real ass combo, like what's happening right now.
What do you think Paint's real ass combos sound like? Like Underwood's, we know what they are. They're like just cussing you out in your face. What does a Painter real ass combo sound like?
I don't know, to
I
be
feel
honest.
like I feel like Paint tries to get you with charm first. Like he might be like, hey, Braden, come here, Braden. Like, Braden, you know you've been doing such a good job for me, right? You've been you've been one of the best in this league, right? You're one of the best players on the floor, right? Why don't you get your head out of your ass then, Braden? Like, I feel like that's how I would
I,
expect it.
I was gonna say either that or like the classic like parent with a young child, like I'm gonna count to one, like don't let me get there, like three,
Dude.
2.5. I would you call I will call Gene. I will call Coach Katie right now.
I like that one most because I can envision exactly what Braden does if that's how he does it. And Braden's like the little trickster who's trying to play with it. Like, oh, really? 2.5? Like, ooh, Matt, ooh, I'm scared. It's so good. His backcourt mate, Fletcher Lawyer. I called Fletch a big game guy. Was tonight a big game?
It was a big game, and Fletch no showed.
I want to officially coin a term with Fletcher. He's a game guy. That's who he is. He's a game guy. He's
He's
not a
a
big
game
game.
guy.
He's not a big game guy. He's not a little game guy. He's just a game guy. And the game is at random. He gets to choose the game.
That's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, for everyone, for Purdue and for their opponents. Like
Yeah,
it's like a random act of violence when Fletcher decides to be good, you know?
yeah, that
Yeah.
is. That's scary in a good way and a bad way.
Yes. But yeah, he struggled tonight, man. Kind of a no-show. Luckily, Lance Jones was there to pick up the slack. Like they needed his 17 points. And I think the Boilers and the Stands guys are correct in their assessment that if Fletch is going to be this bad and have some confidence issues, it's a good thing you have someone who will never not be confident alongside him. So
And if Fletch is going to have these games, having them at Mackey is massive for Lance Jones.
yeah, that's also true. Uh, Cam Heidi is going to be a dude one day. I just want to say that.
Yeah, he will. We're going to hate him too.
I think I'm going to love him. I think you're going to hate him.
I think he's going to be in like the Will Sheehy category for me.
Will Sheehy, but good at basketball is what I'm thinking with Heidi.
Oh, Will Sheehy was good.
Yeah. Wasn't he more just like Will Sheehy?
I don't know. I was a big time Will Sheehy guy.
Yeah, not me. That would be a good one. The name works though, because I used to go to his own games and just scream, Shingy, you're
It's
mine. Like that was all I did. No,
Randy.
like I would literally the game would end and he would look at me, I'd be like, you're mine. And he'd be like, I know. Like that's all it was. That works with Heidi.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
I'm workshopping like white Big Ten players. Like, is he 6'7" Jake Layman?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll get back to the drawing board.
The Sheehy comp was a good one. Just keep sticking with that.
All right.
Okay. Luke Goody, 4 for 8. That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, they're like,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, the main takeaway I want from this is that Illinois is still a good basketball team. Like they are. They're a
So
good basketball team.
wait.
And Purdue,
I'm sorry. You're telling me the field of 68, Tyler Hansbrough saying Illinois is a bubble team. You're telling me that's not accurate?
yeah, I'm sorry, Psycho T. You're an absolute legend, my boy, but that's bad. That is bad. It's bad. It's just not true.
I just don't think those guys watch Illinois, truly. And I know they watched this game, and like the spin is going to be like, well, Edie Smith and Lawyer all didn't play or didn't play their best, and Illinois was down 20 most of the game. Like that, I know that's the stance, but you lose by 5 in Mackey Arena without Terrence Shannon. You want to tell me that's a bubble team?
Right.
Like
They're better than that. He's
they
better
had
than
they had back-to-back tweets tonight that was like, that's why Purdue is number 1, followed by Illinois. You can't trust them. They're about like, what are we doing?
Illinois NIT bound.
I wanted them to just skip ahead to the what sandwich do I like conversation because it was killing me during that. And I love those guys. I love those guys. Shout out Phil to 68. Shout out Tyler Hansbrough. Smoked me in ping pong. But
Oh, that was a ad. Now that was a real ass whooping.
if they let me on camera with Tyler Hansbrough again in the near future, I can promise you I will hold him accountable for that. I'm like the only person waving the Illinois flag right now on that network. Okay, I think that's everything.
Can I end it with one last thing?
Well, I still have my big thing too.
Oh, okay. I'll ask this because simple one before you get to your big thing, and maybe you can connect it because that's the type of guy you are.
Sure.
Some thoughts about Purdue possibly like running the table in the Big Ten, and maybe the other loss comes to at Champaign in Illinois. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what they lose last year? 5, 6 games?
Something like that. Let's look it up.
Okay. You think this year is like a 2, 3 loss year in the Big Ten for them?
They were 29-6 on the season last year. 5 of those losses came in Big Ten regular season play. And I remember I felt shocked at the time they went 15-5. 2-1 right now. You got Nebraska, Penn State, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan next. So you're not playing a surefire NCAA tournament team. Shit, even after that, Rutgers, Northwestern. You don't play a surefire tournament team until February 4th when you're on the road against Wisconsin. The games I would circle for this team are at Wisconsin, at Ohio State, and at Illinois. I think that's it. I think those are the 3 that are dicey. And then I think they could obviously like lose one elsewhere somewhere. Like you have to see Boo Buie again. You have to see Michigan State at home. That could be a desperate Michigan State team by the time we get to March. You have Wisconsin twice. So if I had to pick a number, I'll say they lose 2 on the road and they lose one other random one. Finish 16-4 in conference play.
Yeah, I think I would go there too. I think it's gonna be close to what it was last year. Like, yeah, 4 or 5 games.
Better than last year at 16-4. That's where I'm at. But
Better. I think
similar.
I think I'll go same. I just think I'll go same. They're gonna I feel like they're gonna get
55.
lacking. Yeah, just like I truly want to stick with my pre-season take that Purdue's doing this because they're really, really good, but they honestly don't really care about this.
It's really tough to make a case that this team that is 16-4 doesn't care.
What?
No, they're not 16-4. Sorry. They're 14-1. It's really tough to make a case that a 14-1 team that won the Maui Invitational doesn't really care.
No, but I'm saying Big Ten play.
Oh, okay. Preseason the take was they don't care about the season. Now they're 14-1 and won Maui.
Yeah, well, they're so good that they're not even caring and they're winning games. That's how good they are.
I have the flip for you, my friend. I have the flip. I love you. I love your takes, but we also, one of our greatest strengths is adjusting on the fly when needed, right?
Yeah.
Here's the flip. They only care about the regular season.
Oh. So no March success coming.
Not even that, but just like they know the risks associated with March. So why not take the safe route? Why not set the record for regular season banners? Why not raise the trophy of the best MTE a team's ever been at? I certainly see a team that's wanted to win every game they've been in, Cart. I don't see a team that's like looking ahead. I see a team that is, no, let's do what we always do. And can they do March 2? Yeah, I'm sure they might be able to. But if there's a flip here, like, do they care? Do they not care? I think the flip would be they only care about this. And when you get to March, everything's gravy. Maybe people tighten up a little bit.
Okay. I'll run with that. That's all I need. All I need is an opening.
All right. Other rapid fire, big picture, quick hitter things before my big thing. Illinois, I said before this game, I have them as my national championship pick. You said before this game, you have them as your Final Four pick. Purdue fans seem to really not like us for that. They seem to, what's the word? equivalate,
Equate.
equate. They seem to equivalate. They seem to equate us saying we like Illinois' chances to win a national title more than Purdue as us saying Illinois is a better team than Purdue. We never said that. We think Purdue's better team. We think Purdue's going to win, even though Carr picked Illinois. We think Purdue's going to win this league. Does this game change your opinion that Illinois is a Final Four team?
I think that probably in the current state of the team, I don't know if they can get to the Final Four.
Okay. But the prediction wasn't necessarily on the current state of the team.
Yeah. It was a little bit of maybe something happens.
Hedge our bets a little bit. I am going to stand by this card, and I know Purdue fans are going to get real upset with me for this. I saw enough of what I wanted to see tonight to believe that my theory that the experience these players get without Terrence Shannon will lead to something special if they get Terrence Shannon back. So that's thrown out the window. If they don't get Terrence Shannon back, of course this isn't a national championship team. If they do, I'm going to stand behind that. I think this is a team that could actually do it. And I think the fact they didn't lose this game by 30, and I know everyone's going to point, oh, it's just Zach Edey. He was out of the game. If he's in the game, they lose by 30. Just give me about 5 more minutes. I don't know if that's true. Why don't I get to that? Here's my take. Here's my take. It's spicy. Both sides will disagree with me, but it's the take. I think that Zach Edey's foul trouble benefited Purdue more than it benefited Illinois.
That's definitely a take that's not going to be taken well. No pun intended.
No, I think Illinois fans are going to disagree with it, and I think Purdue fans are going to try and find my home address. So hear me out. You played college basketball. Maybe you know this from experience or not, but my strong assumption is that when you prepare or you game plan for a team that is as good as Purdue and as good because of one player as Purdue, that's no disrespect to the other players, but when you prepare for Purdue, you prepare for Zach Edey in everything you do. Like, no, of course, you know Braden Smith's tendencies. You know who the shooters are. Every ounce of preparation, strategy-wise, drill-wise, I can promise you anything Illinois did this week was preparing for Zach Edey. How do we stop him? How do we exploit him? What's the lineups? What do we need to do with Zach Edey on the floor to win this game? That's all Illinois worked on all week. They clearly didn't come out of the gates with a great plan for that. Again, we already discussed it. Ty Rodgers and Dane Danger could not play in this game at all. Whether Zach Edey was on the floor or not, this was not the game for those guys. They had literally one 5-man lineup combination that they don't even normally play. They don't normally play the 5 shooters without a big or without Ty Rodgers. They don't do that. They had to do it in this game because it was their only way to win this game. They prepared for that. We were going to see this lineup at a certain point. When this lineup entered the game in the first half, they went on an 8-0 run immediately. When this lineup played the final 10 minutes of the game without anybody checking out, they trimmed the lead from 18 points to 3. That lineup worked. The moment in this game where everything changed, there were 2 moments. The first moment was when Purdue was blowing Illinois out and Brad went to the all-shooters lineup. It changed from a 20-point game down to a 3-point game in the first half. The second moment was when Zach Edey picked up his second foul. Because when Zach Edey picked up his second foul, Brad didn't need to play the one lineup that works anymore. Brad he didn't have to. He could have kept doing it. But when that moment happened and Zach Edey went to the bench, in Brad's mind, he said, oh, okay, we can save this. Dane, get in the game. How did Dane's minutes go when he checked into the game?
Not good.
Horrible. When Dane checked out of the game, okay, Ty, it's you time again. How did Ty's minutes go in this game?
Not good.
And I get that it sounds crazy because Zach Edey is the best player in the country. He's the best player in this game. I think his minutes were the most impactful minutes any player had in this game, even when there were other guys. Zach Edey's that good. but I will strongly stand by this, and I think the numbers show it, man. Even when Zach Edey was on the floor, Illinois was outplaying them with that lineup. And in the first half, if Edey never picks up his second, I think Brad sticks with that lineup, and the lead doesn't go back from 3 to 15 at half, and it's a totally different game.
I'll take middle ground on this. I see where you're coming from. Don't know if I'll go as far to agree with you, but classic teacher, like you're showing me your work. I see your process. Don't know if I fully agree though.
Okay. I'll take that, I think.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Should I hire like Secret Service after that?
Yeah, I would definitely be afraid.
Not setting foot in Mackey.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I wouldn't go to Mackey without me. You need detail, security detail, and I got you.
We need each other in Mackey for various reasons. Okay. Let's end the show with this. Give me 3 stars of the night. They can be players, they can be coaches, they can be fans in the crowd, they can be announcers, Stripes, whoever you want. Who are the 3 stars?
Oh, okay. I know I gave Stripes a compliment, but if you think I'll give them a star, then you should actually call somebody and I'm being held hostage, okay? My first star of the night, I think I will give it to gotta go to TKR. I'll give TKR 1 star. I'll give Lance Jones the 2nd star. And I will actually give the 3rd star to Marcus Damask.
Okay.
So I think it's a really good game.
I like that. I think those are the correct 3 player stars. So I'm going to go a different route. I'll give the 1st star to Matt Painter. He had the correct game plan from pregame. I'll give the 2nd star to the Stripes. I thought the Stripes actually called a pretty fair game. I'll give the 3rd star to me because I predicted Purdue to win this game by 6. And they won the game by 5. So honestly, I gave Purdue too much credit.
Good on you, Gregory. Good on you. Thanks for holding us down because we can't have both of us getting it wrong.
I have a migraine, man. I don't get migraines. Like I have a migraine right now. I don't know that I can do this again.
No, well, for us, we don't have another Purdue Illinois game for a good amount of time.
It's in Champaign. We should go to Champaign so that we have a convenient excuse to not be in the Discord and then not do this the whole time.
Yeah. Like we just go to what is it, McCallahan? Or we just go to Legends. We don't worry about it.
McCallahan's.
What's the name of that place we went to with the pictures? It was like the first place we went to on Green Street.
What's my daughter's name, Cart?
Murphy's. Was it Murphy's?
Yeah, I named my daughter after my favorite bar in Champaign.
Not what you named her after. I know what you named her after.
My favorite bar in Champaign. It is what it is. Also, I feel like I've been shitting on our Discord too much. I love you, Discord. Great work tonight. Honestly, they deserve one of the 3 stars. I would like to bump out myself and put the Discord in the 3 stars. Shout out to Evan Miyakawa for joining the Discord today as well. evanmia.com. We love you. Okay, that's everything. Don't kill us. Don't hate us, people. Oh,
we love y'all.
Last thing. We're 2,000 views away from the bowling challenge. And we didn't set a time limit on this. If you can't tell, we want to do this. So here's where we're at. Right now, I'm looking at the screen right now. We have 12,744 views on the Illinois-Purdue preview and prediction video from yesterday or 2 days ago. If we can just get everyone who watches this recap video to go watch the preview video again. Not even watch it, just click into it. Give us the view. We only need 2,256 more people to do that. And if that happens, Carter and I will be in a bowling alley trying to get 600 combined pins with a hot dog for every 10 pins to knock off.
It'll be fun. I want to do it really badly if y'all can't tell, so please.
Please do it. Get us to 15K, please. All right, that's Cart. I'm Greg. Congrats, Purdue. Sorry, Illinois. We'll see you later, I guess.
Chin up.